boat turn over, knocking y'all out again. I'm trying to smile. Very happy times at all here for us at all in Nicaragua. Sad times, man. Really sad times. Not to say there hasn't been a lot of depressing times before in Nicaragua, but for this generation, I guess my generation, this is probably one of the probably it is the lowest point that I've experienced in my 20 years living here in Nicaragua. I know a lot of y'all watch the channel, watch the videos, and you hear my accent and everything, and you're like, where is this guy? Is he a black guy? Is he a white guy? Yeah, I'm a white guy, but I've lived here so long in Nicaragua, 20 plus years. I start pick up the Creole like second nature. I mean, my children are Creole, my wife ethnicity is Creole, so same thing happened to some of y'all Nicaraguans when you go out to the States, y'all pick up the American Yanks and the American darky language, Ebonics. Making this video is making me feel a little better, but it's really a sad time here, a low point. And never, I mean, you would think this was the most peaceful country. I guess it still is, or I don't understand how we're gonna rate in the future, but we were one of the most peaceful countries in Nicaragua. We were in a tourism boom and an economical boom, you'd have to say. Poverty was being cut in half. A lot of things going really good in a business idea. And then all of a sudden, this crisis started. Now, we've talked about before on the videos about how it started, why it started. We've advocated on here. I know we published that video already. A lot of these videos I'm making right now are not going to get published. We've advocated a lot about the United States and its, push for reforms here in Nicaragua. There's undisputable evidence of this. We're talking recent times. We know the history. We know the history of. There's more negative that the United States is known to have done in the history of Nicaragua than good, from even the time of William Walker. Check him out. That's an interesting history there. Really shows you manifest destiny of the politicians of the United States, which is still a part of their mentality in the back of their head. So they continue in these times to have pushed things like the NICA Act. We know that there's a lot of leaders in the United States that have talked badly and poorly of Nicaragua and talk about its leader a lot. And in this current situation, the leader himself is coming out and saying that it's a right-wing conspiracy, that it's gangs infiltrating and gangs causing the violence. And it's the United States wanting regime change here in Nicaragua. I know a lot of the socialists in the world are saying this. But I don't think it's just that. I mean, I can't, knowing all the years I've lived here in Nicaragua, 20 plus years, the media is reporting over 120 people dead in the last 2 months. I mean, the 2 months haven't even come up yet, but it's going to be 2 months. And just knowing the mentality of the people here in Nicaragua, yes, people here get a little crazy sometimes and do crazy things. And their protests are unlike other protests in the world where they carry around mortars and set fire to buildings, which is incredibly horrible. But at the same time, I mean, that amount of people dead, it can't just be because of gangs or a right-wing conspiracy. I mean, something is going on. I mean, some type of repression is being done by the state and by police and by others. It has to be. And of course, maybe there are some people that are infiltrated these opposition groups that are protesting in the street. And it's coming to be almost like a whole-out war, because you got two camps now warring against each other. Just yesterday, a police officer was killed. Another one. I mean, that's devastating for police here in Nicaragua to have to experience that type of thing. I mean, anywhere in the world, a loss of your comrade, your worker, and then it's like, in those, I just could imagine that in those workplaces, y'all are kind of like a gang, Yeah, you're a gang for the law, but y'all still do some things and uh, don't snitch on each other, don't rat on each other. You know, it's so crazy. So yeah, it's pretty sad, the loss of life. I mean, the amount of life that's been lost. To have known somebody myself, I mean, not to know like I knew in person, but just having come here, like I said in other videos, a colleague, a work colleague, you'd have to say we work in the same area. He does media, I mean, I do other things, infrastructure, building and stuff like that, but I mean, it's just really sad. And everybody, you can feel it everywhere. You can feel it on the streets and people's eyes, their faces. It's not the same Nicaragua it was before. You know, it's definitely not the same Nicaragua anymore, because people's faces and attitudes are just not the same, smiling and happy. How could they be? Who could be really smiling and happy in this time, except every now and then you catch a joke and you forget the reality of the situation and you try to go on with your everyday life. That's what it seems like people are doing here in the streets of Bluefields. I know we have some other videos that show you here. It hasn't been intense as other parts of the country, but there's still other things people are worrying about here. You know, we have these roadblocks, there's supplies being limited and cut off, so people are worried about that in their everyday life. It's affecting companies that need to get in vital material for their construction projects or their building projects, or even the local Radio Shack. Go there, you can't find a certain adapter that you need. So really it's uncertain right now. It's a crazy feeling, you know, to have lived here so long and to see this taking place. I don't know, I don't really think I could put out any solutions in this video of what is the right or the wrong, you know, and hoping for peace and love to come back into the country, because before we had that great, and at the heart, I think that's what all Nicaraguans really want, you know, is peace. And it's very sad for some of the families, some of you that have to deal with the death of your loved ones and don't have answers. So you don't have justice, so you don't feel like you're, you know, there's no closure. I mean, that's a hard aspect, and knowing how the government acts here in Nicaragua all the time, no matter who's in charge, they move very slow here. Everybody knows that. They move pretty slow in the government everyday bureaucracy process of having to get a license, having to get this, having to do any simple things, a permit, even getting your cedular or whatnot. So imagine they're waiting for justice while the streets are burning. Yep, that's it, folks. That's that's where we are right now. You know, where some people are just stuck in the middle of a war, I'd have to say, because you can't just blame and say, well, it's all the United States doing, and you really can't accept neither that it's not, because the United States has funded some of these opposition leaders through their national democracy funds that they do give. There's a paper trail of money investment towards reforms in Nicaragua. Luckily and hopefully they haven't started to do anything else like back in the 80s when they supported actual armed change here. So you have to look at these things and consider it's not just them neither, and there's also things that make you say, yes, well, they have been trying and pushing for a moment like this in the country. And I think the answer has to come, again, like I said in all my videos, from the Nicaraguan people, 100%. You know, it looks ingenuine when they take the side of too much foreign influence, especially a country with a history of having in the past supported armed revolt in this country. So you can't really use them as a credible source, you know. But we'll hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and we'll keep on knocking you out here on the channel. So till next time, y'all, I'll be right here by the riverside, hoping for change, peace and love to reign, you know. Because really, you can't forget what happened.